Hi, good evening, everyone. So, my project that I developed was the Toys for Tots 1 mile race. I got the concept off an idea when I used to volunteer at the Coachella Valley Rescue Mission, which is our local rescue mission here in Indio, California. And people donate educational items and get ready for school for those less fortunate, the youth that are less fortunate. So I wanted to put a twist to simply just driving by, dropping off items. I wanted to implement more. I wanted to implement youth being more involved in the whole process of donations, and also parents as well. So it just doesn't seem like a drop off spot to donate items. I wanted people to be more involved. Set up an event where donations are welcome and encouraged. The race fees, everything that's involved with the event itself, gets donated back to the youth. And then, in the likelihood that this event is held during Christmas time, so, the kids that are less fortunate have something to open on Christmas. So that's where I got the idea of Toys for Tots 1 mile running event. Um, and, this event has to be mostly volunteer oriented. In terms of staffing, everybody has to be volunteer at the beginning, and possibly in the future, if it goes well, there could be possibly small amounts of pay, but at the moment it'd be mostly volunteer. Um, so as far as facility management, I'd have a media spokesperson leader to answer all the questions that the public may have. Prior to the event and during the event, to free myself up. As far as the management goes, I'd have a marketing team and a marketing manager, which would be in charge of sponsors. I believe this event would rely heavily on sponsors, and piggyback off the amounts of donors that they could make this event happen. And again, those would have to be volunteer. I would handle all the checkups and routine visits of the facility prior to, during the event, post event. Um, I would have monthly meetings a year out from the anticipated date, just to assure that everything's running smoothly. And as we approach 3 months to the event, I would have a meeting twice a month, just to ensure that everything's going right, and to keep up to date with the staffing and the support staff that's associated with the event. And then as we approach closer to the event, one week before the event, I'd have a walkthrough of the facility prior to setup with the support staff that would be they'd be joining me, so that way they can have a visualization of where the props are going to be placed and where their stations will be. That way they don't just go in confused and not knowing what to do. The location would be at the Indio Municipal Golf Course, located here in Indio, California. The parking will be free to everyone. Um, there's plenty of parking in front of the facility. If the facility needed an overflow parking, there'd be a connection made with the Home Depot, which is right across the street from the golf center itself. And the city of Indio has good connections with the Home Depot, so to provide their parking. And the city of Indio also utilizes a volunteer code enforcement officers for events. You just have to give them a heads up notice on when the event is, and if they can, they'll send you over some code enforcement volunteer officers. So the facility, the lighting itself will be provided by the city. They have football type stadium lights, so the event would start roughly about 5:30 p.m. and carry on over until about 8 p.m. until stuff is shut down. Trash disposal sponsored by Burtech, a trash company out here in the Coachella Valley. They'll provide the trash can size boxes with trash bags and pick up all the trash once the event is finished. Now, myself, alongside with our support staff and volunteers, we'd gather up all the trash bins for them and put them all in one spot. That way, they can just pick it up and go, and they're not having to search through the facility itself when picking up the trash. The restrooms will be donated by Omar Contracting. The company has portable toilets and washing sinks, and I will have one restroom for every 300 people. Thus, if we are anticipating 4,000 attendees, we'll have a minimum of 12 portable toilets alongside washing sinks, one per every 1,000 people that attend. This will enhance the cleanliness of the facility. so that way people aren't walking away saying there weren't restrooms or they didn't have access to restrooms, or they can't say that they couldn't wash their hands for whatever reason. And we will have access on the golf course for the American Disabilities Act. So we'll have at the facility itself. They have off ramps. They have not off ramps. They have ramps which people can use their wheelchair on and access the facility itself. Security we'd have 2 security guards per 1,000 people, provided by Desert Resort Security. Alongside each security, I would like to have 1 trained volunteer staff. That way, there's 2 people. Let the security guard handle more of the security issues, and the volunteer staff handle more of the direction and assist with traffic entering and leaving the facility. And the code enforcement again will help with directing traffic and designate parking area. Now, in terms of the registration, we're anticipating that there will be an attendance of 3,000 people with a maximum of 4,000 people for the first year. The anticipation includes 500 registered signups. And then we're anticipating that each registered sign-up, each youth, will come with 2 parents, which would make it a total of 1,500. And then the day of, we're hoping to have day of registrations, which could hopefully get close to that 3,000 amount. I plan to have an early registration with a discount of $20. So the registration fee itself to race would be $40, and pre-registering months ahead of time would save you $20. The registration packet will also include a free T-shirt and sponsored pamphlet coupons. And in that packet itself, it will also have a spectator participant education, which would include safety concerns for everyone, directions to the facility, and other pertinent information. No alcohol will be allowed into the event, and an emergency action plan will also be placed, and the exiting procedures clearly stated, so there's no confusion whatsoever for participants. So promotion, I promote throughout the Coachella Valley to enhance the community relations. I'd have community meetings as often as possible as I could, hopefully every 2 months, to answer any questions that the community may have, or elected officials of the city. During these events, I'd also go over sponsorships and information that sponsors may have, and the benefits in sponsoring our event. Mass mailing will also be utilized to target those that have youth in the community. And then our objectives would be to promote youth athleticism, promote community safety, enhance the image of those less fortunate, and donate gifts to those enduring hardships. Our concessions will be provided mostly by sponsors. The golf course itself also has a concession stand, which we would allow to be open in order to assist them in making up the cost of them helping us out by sponsoring us. And the golf course also has apparel that some may want to buy, which would help alleviate some of the costs for the donations they have. Tickets, we'd utilize ActiveNetwork.com, which would provide tickets and smartphone tickets. And an agreement would be in place that they receive our service fee. Well, they would receive their service fee online for processing each ticket. So that's how they would make their money. So no money comes out of pocket out of our end. Event waiver will be provided online prior to purchasing ticket, and will be needed in order to compete in the event. So prior to getting their bibs, they'd have to turn in their waiver if they haven't signed it online already. And then also, an assumption of risk will clearly be stated in the waiver, and waiver for parents to sign for youth under the age of 18, which most of the participants are going to be under the age of 18, so that would be necessary. On event day, the spectators will access the facility at no charge. So parents, those wishing to go with their youth won't be charged to go in. Those racing will check in at several tables. I plan to have 4 lines open to check in via ticket on their phones, with volunteers doing the check-in process. We'd have 2 tables with an A through M last name, and another 2 tables of N through Z, so that'll alleviate the line and the stresses of arriving to an event. And then we'd also have 4, as I mentioned earlier, we'd have 4 tables for those checking in via phone, their app and the barcodes that are on there. And then there will be 2 large gates, emergency exits in the event of an emergency, which would enhance exiting the facility in a safer manner. And our management staff will have walkie-talkies to communicate with one another in case of an emergency or if an issue needs to be addressed. Most of the time at these, fun runs or 5Ks, there's small issues that come up that just need quick communication. We'd also have finished results handle the timing system, and they charge about a flat rate, about $2,500 for 500 entries. So we're anticipating about that 500 mark. Freebies: each participant will receive a race day shirt, and each top 3 in each age group will receive plaques. So age groups will range from 3 to 5 years old, 6 to 8 years old, 9 to 11 years old, and 12 to 14 years old. And that is for both male and female awards. Visibility: I recently went to an event at the Rose Bowl Stadium, I'm forgetting, and I saw these big, large balloons that I fell in love with for enhancing visibility and where the areas of certain things are. So I plan to implement that as well and get those balloons donated to designate important areas. They were probably 200 feet in the air that you're able to look up and say, oh, hey, there's the restrooms, and oh, there's the concession stands. So. And definitely, we would have long-term planning. The event will be designed to occur annually. We'll adjust or remove expenses based on the inaugural event. City communication will be important if we hope to continue. And also, concluding the event, we'd like to give a thank you to everybody. We'll discuss issues which occurred and how they could have been prevented for the next event. And we'll discuss the profit and losses within our group. And also, we'd have a sponsor for the hotel, which would provide hotel rooms for those wishing to stay nearby at a discounted rate with proof of attendance. And Fantasy Springs would be a major sponsor for our event. And then we'd have several sponsors that our marketing team would hopefully come in contact with. And then as far as a post-event survey, we all, as an athlete and as parents, we'd like to give feedback on the event that we attended. So a post-event survey will be available concluding the event. Online information will also be posted for a survey to be taken online, but you must have proof of participation. That way we know that you attended the event and you're not just making comments off the blue. This will ensure that those that have participated have a voice in the future event, or maybe there's something that they want to see improved or see something that they'd love to see added. So our strengths. Our strengths is the facility is well maintained. Its potential for growth is great. A great section exists for vendors to station themselves outside the facility. There's plenty of room for vendors that we have. Some of the weaknesses may be the golf course may not prefer not to have foot traffic on the course itself. The time of the year has to be perfect because we might cross into reseeding or grass prepping time for the golf course. Opportunities, again, raise awareness for the youth in our city, and then hopefully have the event occur annually and become reputable, and tax deductible donations for those who donate. And threats can be just the cost, because like I mentioned, the event is mostly run off volunteers, so I would need the volunteers itself to be willing to donate their time to make this event function, because there wouldn't be any real amount to start up unless we did raise a lot of money through sponsors. But again, threats can also include, weather, which we wouldn't be planning for. So the day of event, we'd get up 8 a.m., make sure everything gets delivered. 9 a.m. call support staff. 9:15 call timing company, security company. 9:30 review our checklist that we established for the event. 10 a.m. field prep. 11 to 1 mark the course that's going to be utilized, that's running on. 2 p.m. the volunteers would arrive. At 3 we'd have a group meeting with volunteers and support staff. At 4 p.m. is when the fun begins, the day of registration, check-in for pre-registered athletes. 5:30 p.m. the event begins. And then at 6, the event wouldn't be that long since it's only a 1 mile run. We just have to ensure that everybody's off the course and made it safely. And then at 5:30 the event would begin. The event concludes at 6 o'clock, and I'd love to have the mayor come out and speak on behalf of the event and the city. And at 7, we'd have a post survey group meeting, and after that, we just assist guests in exiting the facility so everyone gets out safely, and we just use the next 2 hours from 8 to 10 to clean up the event. And that's my project. So thank you.